So how do I know if I'm burning dietary fat or stored fat? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, welcome to Keto with JT, a practical approach to living a ketogenic lifestyle. I'm JT, I'm a certified keto and intermittent fasting coach, and today I want to tell you a little story. So 2 years ago I started doing keto. A friend of mine, I was training for the Grand Canyon, to run the Grand Canyon, rim to rim to rim. I had been working on that, and I was talking to a friend of mine, his name was Phil. And he asked me, are you doing any sort of special diet for that? And I said, and he was one of the first people I told actually. I said, well, yeah, I'm actually doing this thing called keto. And he said, oh, I've been doing that for 8 months. I was like, whoa. So this is one of the many things that he and I have in common. So fast forward a few years later, he's been doing keto for like 3 years now. And he came to me, he knew that I was studying and learning a lot, and knew that I had gone through the Dr. Berg's certification course. And he asked me one day, so I have a question for you. How do you know if you're burning dietary fat or stored fat? Well, I thought about that, and I thought the obvious answer, or I should say the way that I wanted to answer that question, was that your body is a very efficient organism, and it's constantly striving for survival. So it's going to prioritize dietary fat above stored fat in terms of utilization. So if I have fat that I'm taking into my body and that's available, then my body's going to use that first before it dips into its fat stores. And that's the way that I would have thought to answer that question, and that seemed to make sense to me. Well, the answer goes a little bit deeper than that, and it's actually really cool. I've been doing some research, and I wanted to because I wanted to know the answer too. I wanted to know if the way I was thinking about it was correct. And I could use the analogy of food storage. Let's say maybe you're into prepping, and you don't have to be like a really fanatical prepper. Let's say you just believe in being prepared for a rainy day, and you decide, hey, I'm gonna put away some food. Put some food on the shelves, that we're gonna leave there in case we need it at some point, right? So in the court, once you get those reserves built up, you're not going in there and eating it on a regular basis. You go to the store, you buy your groceries, you eat your groceries, and then you have that food storage there in case something happens and you need it, okay? So I think of that in terms of the way I would have answered the question initially. So let's go a little bit further. As I did some research, I came across an article from an organization called BERDA. And BERDA is an organization that's committed to solving type 2 diabetes without medication, without drugs. And it's really, really interesting. One of the co-founders is Stephen Phinney. So let me tell you a little bit about Stephen Phinney. I have 2 of his books. He is an MD, PhD. I've got his bio printed out here, so I wanted to read that to you. Stephen Phinney is the Chief Information Officer and co-founder of Virta Health, the first clinically proven treatment to safely and sustainably reverse type 2 diabetes without medications or surgery. Whoa, that's a big deal, right? Well, he's a physician and scientist with about 40 years of experience. And that's divided up into academic and internal medicine and the industry. So he's focused on the study of nutritional biochemistry with a long-term focus on low carbohydrate research. So that's pretty awesome. He's been doing that for 40 years. So the article that I wanted to lean on to answer this question is one that he wrote, and I've got it here on my phone on their website. It says, is dietary fat burned before stored fat on a ketogenic diet? Here's what he says. Certain fats, like medium chain triglycerides, this is what we know as MCT oil derived from coconuts, cannot be stored as fat. So whatever is consumed must be promptly burned for energy. So MCT oil is taken into your body and used right away. Pretty cool. And that's why so many people like to use it. We'll have other videos on MCT oil. I don't want to go into detail about that right now. And this means that if you're adding these fats on top of your dietary fat consumption for satiety, right, for satisfying your appetite, this type of fat takes priority. Okay, so that kind of goes along with my original thought on how to answer this question. Well, he goes a little further, and this is where it gets really cool and very interesting. For regular dietary fats, once they are digested, they enter the circulation and participate in what is called fatty acid turnover. Whether fed or fasted, the body is always releasing, burning, and storing fat. Now remember, this is in the context of keto. Okay, so when insulin is high, storage predominates. So when insulin is high, we're going to store it. That's what our body wants to do because insulin is the fat storage hormone. That's one of its primary functions. When insulin is low, release and oxidation predominate. So when insulin is low, you're going to be burning more fat. And that means your stored fat or the dietary fat in that fatty acid turnover process. Okay? If you eat fat along with a lot of carbohydrates, which is what most people do, it is prone to be stored. Okay? When fat is consumed in the context of a well-formulated ketogenic diet, it, along with fat released from adipose stores, is prone to be burned. But once digested and absorbed, dietary fat and stored fat enter the turnover pool and are in a constant state of mixing. So actually, that's pretty cool if you think about it. So let me bring this back to the food storage analogy. All right? So think about it this way. Let's say you get your food storage built up, you have a little pantry and you've got some food in there, maybe for 3 months or something like that. And there are expiration dates on that food, right? So you go to the store and what we do is you start rotating your food storage. So you might be grabbing food from your food storage, consuming that, going to the store and putting it on the shelf. So you're constantly rotating that food. Now, if you are eating a very whole food diet, food that is not processed, likely a lot of that food you're just going to be eating right away. But the point is I wanted to sort of illustrate how this is working. So if you're following what Dr. Fenny calls a well-formulated ketogenic diet, that process of burning fat, that stored fat and dietary fat is happening continuously. And I think that's really cool. So let's stop right there and talk about another aspect of this question and another way I kind of wanted to answer that question. I think what Phil may have been getting at was, hey, am I eating too much dietary fat? Am I inhibiting the fat burning process, the fat that's on my body? And I think the way that we can answer that is with another question. Are you losing weight, right? Are you going to the, you get on the scale and you've lost a pound or 2 every week? If that's the case, then you're burning stored fat because you're watching those stores diminish. If you're following a ketogenic diet and you're not losing weight, there could be a few reasons for that. One might be that you're taking in too much dietary fat, right? So you've got that fat that you're consuming and it's in that fatty acid turnover process that we were talking about, and it's just maintaining the weight that you're at, okay? The other could be that maybe you've had too many carbs sort of sneak into your diet, insulin is a little bit higher, and you're storing more of that fat, and so you're not really losing the weight. So I enjoyed doing this research. I've enjoyed sharing with you. I hope that something you've heard today is helpful for you and maybe clears up some of the questions you may have had on a similar topic. And I hope that you join me next time. Until then, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.